rest of the people who are listening right now, it would be good for them to put in their own 2 cents. And people need to be heard, and people need to speak. This is my first time speaking up here. It's great to come about these people. They've enlightened me in a bunch of different ways. We're here to open the minds of the people, and hopefully that others will follow in our ways. I don't have much to say tonight, but just as a citizen, I'm concerned, and I think others shall be concerned as well as I am. Thank you.
Very good. How about you, Bob? Got something to rate about Paul?
I will in a few.
Go ahead.
I'd like to listen more about a little bit more about me. Bolton did today, actually.
All right, well, there's a few things that we're not touching on about this bailout. We're going into it's not a bailout. This is a transfer of wealth from you to the ultra-rich. While we're at it, let's point out a few things about what's actually happening as compared to what they're telling you in the media. What's happening here is there is a very rich family who owns several banks, and we're talking Royal Bank of Scotland, we're talking Bank of America, we're talking the Swiss Bank. We won't name the family right off. But basically, they own these banks, and these banks, the conglomeration of these banks, make up what we call the Federal Reserve. The Federal Reserve is not part of our government. They're about as Federal Express. This is where your tax money goes. So these are the people that these companies that are failing are looking to take the money from. So what you have here is American companies, which are good for the American economy, always have been, are begging a private industry for money to bail them out. So basically the Federal Reserve has gotten their claws in your government. We could say that they own your government. So what's happened here is when these companies, they beg the Federal Reserve to bail them out of the mess that they got into when the government set the guidelines for how they should conduct business. Now what you have is when the Federal Reserve gives these companies the money, the Federal Reserve is going to set the guidelines. They're going to open up a panel, and they're going to guide further how these companies conduct business, which pretty much means they have ownership in the companies. That is fascism. When a private outside entity owns the functionability of the entire country. So this is not the government is bailing people out. Basically, your tax dollars is going to go to a private bank. The private bank is going to print off more money and keep the money you gave to them. They're going to give it to a bunch of companies. They're going to devalue the dollar, and they're going to acquire ownership of major American industry here. The American free economy is dead as of this crisis.
What's your question, Bob? My question is, who is buying all the banks right now? Who's buying all the banks?
Well, if you look at
It's
it,
kind of my question.
let's see. Washington Mutual failed,
Yeah.
so someone swooped in and purchased Washington Mutual Bank.
Who was that?
Massive mortgage lender. Who? Jay, tell us who swooped in and bought Washington
I'm
Mutual.
just dying to hear this answer.
I want to say Morgan, J.P. Morgan.
J.P.
Morgan. Well, let's think now. If we think in history, what happened the last Great Depression? J.P. Morgan said, "I have no money in my bank." Everybody went nuts. They had these deals for stocks where you could buy half of it and then owe the other half. But if the bank called them in, you had to pay within 24 hours. Nobody could do it. J.P. Morgan created this crisis. The stock market failed, and J.P. Morgan and the Rothschilds and the Rockefellers bought up every corporation on pennies on the dollar. Like Adam said, redistribution of wealth. It is the same thing.
And here's another way of looking at it. America, if you do not, if you do not have some sort of a bailout and the economy gets worse, they're going to say it's because you didn't have a bailout. Now, if they do the bailout and the economy gets worse, they're going to say, well, we didn't say it was a fix. We said it was just a partial measure and it's going to take a while to work it out. So they can't lose, you see. Either way, they're going to be able to throw it back on us. Either way. So it's just a matter of now, they're just waiting now for the public opinion to tip, where the public begins to say, instead of don't do this, save us. That's what they're waiting for. They're waiting for those faxes and those calls to say, save us. And that's why they decided to go home for 3 days on a vacation while the economy is supposedly collapsing. You asked one of the biggest questions of the day. Where is this money coming from? Are these people buying up? Who is really buying up these banks? It's one of these things, you know. It's kind of like trying to figure out who owns Foxwoods, you know. Just go down there and try to figure it out and see what happens.
I do have another question, actually, too. Okay? With all this happening right now, right? What responsibility are the people and the CEOs of this company going to have besides walking out of this thing and collecting more money?
None.
That is not right. It's Fishman, okay? Fishman worked for a total of, I think it's 18 days. And he's going to walk out like $8 million.
It's a good deal.
Does he not have a heart or a soul to be able to even comprehend any of that? Does he not understand?
Bobby, when someone offers you a job and offers you a paycheck like this, what does your heart and soul matter when you've got these hawks standing over you, telling you this is how things are going to be, this is your job, and if you stray anywhere outside the format that we have given you, your life is over, literally. Heart and soul, these people can buy people through a fear mechanism. When you go into the job, wouldn't you want...
known it was already wrong. You don't think he already knew that it was wrong? You don't think he knew it was already going to crash and he's just a fall guy for the whole thing?
Okay, most people don't climb the ladder to get scared and jump off at the top. You sit there and you teeter and you hope that it all works out in the end, especially if you're a family guy, if you're a real career guy, you worked your whole life to get up there and do that. That's what we're facing at the heads of these companies. These people at the heads of these companies do not make decisions. They've been appointed there because they are yes men, they play the games, and they don't bring up the important topics. And there's always an overlord for them to follow.
Yeah, but let's go back to accountability. If we do this bailout, okay, if the American, no doubt about it.
We're going to do it.
Okay?
They're going to have us begging to do
Yeah,
it.
no doubt. Where?
Not me.
So they're going to. That's all right. They're going to bail out these companies who squandered money in the first place and lost it, okay? The people who are in control are still going to be in control with some oversight, okay?
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah. And here it goes again, okay?
Yeah.
I can't understand this. I can't understand it at all. If you owned a company and your company failed, you couldn't call us, let's make a memo to the president and say, I need some money. I screwed up and here it is.
Hey, let me highlight that quickly. Okay? I'm an example of a failed business in the state of Rhode Island. Taxes killed me, workers' compensation killed me, all the little nickel and dimes killed me, and nobody, there was no one to appeal to. I couldn't ask someone for money to bail me out of the hole I was in. I had to fold. How are we any different as small business than big business? Does America differentiate now between how big a business has grown? They're going to set different rules for rich people than they set for the poor people, the struggling people, the middle class people, and that's the basis of it.
All right. To elaborate on the risk factor, and as Richard was saying, it's that crazy fascist neoconservative theory that you create the problem and then create the solution and take something from the people, while this goes on. Now like Richard said, we're going to be strangled right now. I mean, either way, no matter how you look at it, every top economist, Nobel Prize winners, Pulitzer Prize winners are saying, no matter how you look at it, we're going into a depression. That's it, hands down, nothing to do about it. We're already screwed. Now, they're going to use this situation, like Richard said, to say, oh, hey, well, you guys probably should have passed that bailout. Let's try it again. And if it doesn't work, they're going to say, "Oh, well, we told you we were taking a risk." Like, what do you? So either way, it's a lose.